Hello, and welcome to the volunteer training with Big Brothers Big Sisters for the Mentor 2.0 program. Today we will be covering the mission of Big Brothers Big Sisters as well as Mentor 2.0, school partners that we service, trauma-informed care and implicit bias, the mentor experience, matching processes, ground rules, the platform we use for communication, curriculum, and then we'll follow with a curriculum lesson exercise. The Q&A can be conducted via email correspondence. The vision of Big Brothers Big Sisters is that all youth achieve their full potential. The mission for Mentor 2.0 is to build and support one-to-one relationships to ignite the biggest possible future for youth. Mentor 2.0 maintains the fundamentals of quality mentoring Big Brothers Big Sisters is known for through one-to-one relationships, providing professional relationship support and maintaining a focus on safety for the benefit of the mentee and mentor. School partners, we currently service two school partners, South Valley Academy and Amy Beale High School, in what's known as a whole school model. The whole school model allows us to serve the schools equitably and offer every student the opportunity to work with a mentor. School administrators, faculty, and parents agree that many students who need a mentor will not ask for one. But with the whole school model, we provide a chance for those students to build a mentoring relationship safely and with professional guidance from our degreed staff. Through the whole school model, we service a diverse group of learners from different backgrounds. We work with students who have behavioral and/or learning disabilities, gifted students, students of low socioeconomic status, students of high socioeconomic status, and many more. Through one-to-one mentoring, you, the mentor, are expected to spend time simply and authentically getting to know your mentee and then work together with your student as much as he or she is able to, and your match support specialist as well to offer support that is tailored to their needs and personality. Some challenges with the whole school model that you might find: yourself being matched with a mentee who maybe is fearful of the experience or resistant to the program. They might not be happy about having a mentor or having to take the class. Start by trying to build trust through consistency, listening, and sharing with every opportunity that your mentee provides. Work with your match support specialist to create a personal engagement plan that can help your mentee be more comfortable or see the benefits of connecting with others for learning. Remember your trauma-informed care practices and why those are so important. Other challenges include recruiting enough mentors for every student. A little bit about South Valley Academy. South Valley Academy is a college preparatory public charter school that services middle and high school students from 6th through 12th grade, with Mentor 2.0 program starting in 9th grade and running until 12th grade. The school is located in the South Valley off Coors and Blake's, and with most students living in the nearby community. The mission and focus of this school is on college and career and civic engagement. Most students are on a free or reduced lunch program, and it is a largely bilingual speaking school population. Amy Beale High School is a public charter school in downtown Albuquerque, serving 9th through 12th grade. Students come from all over the city and even outside of the city and are accepted based on a lottery process. Similar mission, with the school being founded in honor of Amy Beale, the mission is to create students that are college-bound, career-ready, and civic-minded. They serve students on a year-round schedule, and 52% of students are on a free or reduced lunch, 10% are gifted, and 1/3 of their students are in special education. Trauma-informed care. Trauma-informed care is care that is a strength-based approach in providing care that acknowledges that most people have experienced some form of trauma in their lifetime. It recognizes the signs of trauma and responds in a manner that is appropriate and minimizes the exposure to re-traumatization. Keeping that in mind, one way that we provide trauma-informed care is through the LIVES model. LIVES is an acronym. We say that we listen non-judgmentally and with minimal interruptions, giving space for the person to share, inform We inform them of the next steps that we might have to take, and we are transparent in this process, such as if we need to report to CYFD, we let the student know that and attempt to make them part of that process, which is falling in line with trauma-informed care. You next validate. You validate, you do not need to agree with how your mentee is feeling about something in order to validate and acknowledge their feelings and their experience. Empathize, recognize your mentee's feelings and be able to share in those feelings and respond in an appropriate manner. Support, you can support your mentee's ability to make decisions in their own best interest within the scope of your role as a mentor and mandated reporter of abuse. Support their ability to make choices when they can make choices. Example, if you are reporting the disclosure, invite them to participate in that process of reporting. So this slide is all about things that you might want to talk to your match support specialist about. It also provides you with different statements or things that you can use if a student discloses something to you. Statements like, I believe you. You had so much courage to tell me that, or to tell someone that. A big thing to keep in mind is saving your emotions for later. It's not a good idea to react in front of your mentee. Say you're upset or you want to cry from something like that. It's best to try to hold that in and be that strong, sound support for the student. Other helpful statements, it's not your fault. You are not to blame no matter what anyone has said. So we can apply the LIVES model to these situations by listening to them, validating them, informing them of any next steps that we have to take, and offering them the choice to participate in that process, such as by telling them, we have to tell someone. Informing them and transparency with them in that you cannot guarantee that you will be a part of the process after this disclosure occurs, meaning if it gets sent to CYFD and other parties. Very, very important to remember not to re-traumatize the student or the person by asking for too many details, asking for things that they're not willing to offer, and making it seem like you do not believe their claims or that they're not really sure of what they're reporting to you. Legally asking questions and information phishing can complicate an investigation if one needs to happen. Asking safety-related questions is not the same thing as asking your mentee, do you have somewhere safe you can go? Are you somewhere safe now? Those would be normal questions to ask. Implicit bias. Implicit bias refers to ideas or stereotypes that an individual possesses that unconsciously affect their behavior, decisions, and understanding. Implicit bias is pervasive and everyone possesses implicit bias. They are developed throughout our lifetime from both direct messages and indirect messages we experience and receive. Implicit bias is not the same thing as a conscious prejudice or discrimination or racism. Implicit bias matters because it is the unconscious behaviors and remarks that people do not realize that they're carrying hurtful, negative, or discriminatory undertones. Awareness of our implicit biases will help us to reduce anxiety around new people and or situations. It will help us avoid engaging in harmful behavior and language and allow us to develop healthy, respectful relationships with our mentees. Because implicit bias is unconscious, it is not an easy task to be introspective. We encourage volunteers to take the implicit bias quiz, which will be provided after this training. Implicit bias awareness is a component to being trauma-informed. To acknowledge trauma in others, recognize the signs of trauma, and respond appropriately, we need to be aware of the unconscious associations and assumptions we're making about that person as we're interacting with them. What does this look like? Microaggressions are one way that implicit bias is acted out. Subtle uses of language or body language that have unconscious or negative denigrating undertones towards another. An example of this would be, I didn't think my mentee had a positive home life coming from the South Valley. But attitudes about the engagement in the program, such as assuming your student is lazy or disengaged if you don't hear from them, are examples of implicit bias. You and even the match support specialist may not know all of the details impacting that student's life. Being aware of the language that we use and what sort of meaning our words can carry in the context in which we are using them can have a huge impact. How are we speaking to others? What is our tone? What assumptions are we making? What references am I using? What is my body language like? Not only what we say, but how we say it is important. Everyone has a different story. Even within the same cultural group, there are diversity. So no one story speaks for everyone. It's better to try to focus on an unbiased perspective and a strengths-based perspective, allowing mentee and mentor relationships to evolve from a place of curiosity, of getting to know one another for how they are, and not only the identities and labels prescribed to them, and to develop a genuine connection with them. Our brain wants to make automatic associations and find patterns to shortcut processing information and making decisions. Being aware of this and taking control of that tendency is one way that we can check our implicit bias at the door when we meet our mentees. Some of the principles and importance with trauma-informed care and this program is the importance of consistency. To show a struggling mentee that you are there and providing continued support. Remembering our trauma-informed care model, you may not always know what's happening behind the scenes in your mentee's life. You need to be the dependable adult in their life and demonstrate that character trait for them. We can demonstrate this consistency by maintaining communication and lesson completion regardless of student response rate, staying knowledgeable in the Mentor 2.0 curriculum and up to date with your match support specialist as well as program goals. On this slide, you'll see an example of an actual message sent by a student to a mentor when their match was first activated. This slide can give you an idea of how you can or how you would respond to a mentee. Every experience is different, and you can't assume that your student is going to relate to you immediately or right off the bat. However, the students are aware of the program and the requirement to respond to lesson communication. We have many scenarios about how things can go, but at the end of the day, it's how you communicate with your mentee and how they communicate back. The first meeting might be a little bit awkward, or it might be excellent. It would be best if you came in with an open mind and a willingness to learn from your student. On this slide is an example of how a student might write. You may sometimes not get a message, or you may get a message that's only a few words. Remembering trauma-informed care and resisting the urge to think of your mentee as lazy or disengaged purposely during those times will be highly important. This slide is an example of the way the platform will look when you complete a lesson. You can see that the names have been redacted, but when you look, you can see they're on Unit 3. The unit is about goal setting. They're on Lesson 2, and they're learning about SMART goals. You can see the date the message was sent and the message that they're saying. You then can see the response and follow-up from a mentor. So this is the platform and the layout of the way that you will communicate to your mentee via lessons and conversations. All communication will take place via the iMentor platform. This slide is going over the matching and enrollment processes. We have some of the preliminary requirements with all of you who are watching this training most likely have completed. passing our screening process, filling out your application, having that college degree, or some type of relevant experience, being 21 years of age or older, having access to internet so you can complete those weekly lessons. Some additional requirements that mentors complete that online intake application on both the iMentor website as well as with Big Brothers Big Sisters, that we conduct a background check and then that is completed and up to date, that a one-to-one personal interview is conducted with the Big Brothers Big Sisters staff. The information used in that interview helps us greatly when we are matching because it provides a lot of insight and personal details into the volunteers. We also do a one-to-one personal interview with the students so we can have a similar profile and idea on a personal level of who the students are. We also complete those reference checks and then the in-person training, which you are completing right now. A little bit about our matching process. Right now, the way that this plays out, mentors will take a survey just as the students would take a survey, and then we look at both of those responses and it gets filtered through an algorithm which will suggest possible matches based off the interests they reported in that survey. That's why that iMentor application, that initial step, is really important that we take the time to do that. Students and mentors both take a very similar survey and it asks them questions about what they're looking for in a match, what kind of qualities and things they're interested in their personal life, what things they're interested in friends and in their professional life. At the end of the day, we as match support specialists are the deciding factor in who gets matched. We take suggestions from the algorithm and the computer, but we also match based off of what we feel will be best through those personal interviews and different stages like that. We do match solely based off what is best for the student. And with that being said, sometimes volunteers can sit in the enrollment queue for longer than others. If there is a student, when you come through the enrollment queue, who matches perfectly with your interests and career, you may get matched very quickly. If we don't have a student who matches with your career or your interests, you may end up waiting a little bit longer. And this is simply because we match and we serve students. That is our whole purpose. We serve youth. The support specialist is the one who will actually make that match. You will go through several different departments as you're becoming ready to be matched, from enrollment into Mentor 2.0. But our match support specialists are actually the ones who go in, activate those matches, figure out who will be best with who. They also work with the students one-on-one, so they know who these kids are, and they're not just relying on the computer details. In this program, mentees will send that first message, which is what we referenced in that previous slide. And you can see sometimes students will be a little bit nervous when they send that first message. So it's important to remember our trauma-informed care practices and our LIVS model. Some of the major ground rules for this program: there is absolutely no communication outside of the Mentor 2.0 platform, which is what we previously looked at in the other slides. This is including but not limited to Facebook and other social media outlets, personal emails, personal phone numbers, home addresses. Anytime you meet with a mentee, if it's a school event or anything face-to-face, a Big Brothers Big Sisters team member or match support specialist must be present. The only contact that will take place is through lessons and conversations via the iMentor platform. This will be reviewed by a match support specialist on a monthly basis to just make sure in terms of safety and to make sure that students are completing their weekly lessons. Some extra ground rules: mentees and mentors cannot carpool to events. Currently, we are only doing virtual events, but when we switch back to in-person events, mentees and mentors may not carpool. They have to ride separately. Some things to keep in mind are to stay in contact with your support specialist. Your support specialist will contact you to conduct monthly check-ins and different correspondence. So it's important that you are available or at least responding when those asks come out. We also have surveys. Your match support specialist may send you a survey in the beginning and end of the year. This helps us to track outcomes and program data for our students, as well as evaluate our programs and where we need to change things. So it's very important that you are completing those surveys or communicating to your match support specialist. We do ask that you try to stay matched for a year, but ideally we would like to see everyone stay matched until graduation. Sometimes these things can't happen, people move away, different things like that. We are happy to accommodate volunteers if they will be moving and would like to continue virtually to see their student through till graduation. The biggest piece is that you just communicate to your student and match support specialist if you feel like the match is not working out or if you feel like you have to change because of life circumstances. It's also important to respect each other's beliefs and opinions. You may be matched with a student who has very different political or cultural or religious beliefs than you, and same for students. So it is very important that we remember to just respect each other's beliefs and opinions. It's also very important, once again, that we stay in touch with our match support specialists and let them know if we won't be able to attend an event or if we're having trouble with Canvas communication, such as those weekly lessons, because accommodations can always be made as long as communication is taking place. Some things you can expect from your match support specialist: that they will call, email, text. Those are the 3 modes of communication that we use. If you're uncomfortable with any of those, it's important that you communicate that so we can note it on your account. Your match support specialist will update you either weekly or monthly with a lesson outline of what students will be covering either that week or that month in classes, so you can stay up to date on your lessons and communication. This will happen in that form of a newsletter, either weekly or monthly. Match support specialists are responsible for teaching a weekly class to the students in their grade level. This goes for all students in that grade level. And we work with an iMentor curriculum, which comes from a strength-based approach. Match support specialists will also plan events, facilitate and coordinate events, and send invites to all participants. We also will offer support and guidance and coach both students and mentors throughout the entire process and relationship, providing resources and supplemental trainings when need be. Some major things to talk to your support specialist about: if a student discloses abuse, it is absolutely, we are mandated reporters. It is important that you communicate these things to your match support specialist. You do not need to feel like you have to go through these processes alone. Your match support specialist is there to support you through this entire process. It's important to remember the trauma-informed care model. It's important to remember that LIVES model and to listen and to provide that empathetic support. But make sure that you are reporting any mandated reporting items to your match support specialist so that they can help you through that process. Research has shown us that matches that close prematurely can harm critical areas in child development. We know that not every single match will make it through to graduation, and that's okay. We have protocols in place for proper match closing to ensure the safety of both the student and mentor and to redefine that relationship. So when it is possible, we do ask that you communicate these needs to your match support specialist in terms of closure or any other areas like that, so we can work through this process in a responsible way that inhibits trauma-informed care. This is an example of the platform. You will have to create a new mentor application, which most likely you will have done when you first signed up for the program. We cannot match you with a student until your application on the iMentor platform has been created. Once your application is created, this is the way that you will correspond with your student and RSVP for events. This is an example of what your curriculum page will look like when you have an account on the platform. You can sign on and you can see that you'll be assigned a lesson. It will be the same lesson that your student was assigned. You both can work on it in real time and see each other's responses. Different things that lessons can be comprised of would be a message box, different Google documents, a Google drawing, videos, articles, maybe photos, and other items. This is an example of the lesson that was assigned in that last slide. So this is an example of a project that you might be working on with your mentee. You can see that there's a slide for mentee and there's a slide for mentor. So when you both complete it, you will have a completed project on both sides. This is another example of the platform in terms of your curriculum history, where you can go in and you can actually see all of the lessons and units that you have completed with your mentee since being matched. This is an area, sometimes you may say a message to your student that was for a following week, and you both can go back and check in on it. This is another example of the way that the platform will look in terms of your curriculum history. It will show you all of the messages sent back and forth. You will also have a side panel that you'll be able to navigate the platform from the home page to different files. Maybe you and your mentee have shared resumes, college checklist if you're working with an 11th or 12th grader, and different items. If you look in the top right-hand corner, you can see a bell shape with a 0 and a little chat box with a 0. That little chat box next to the bell is how you can have conversation messages with your mentee. Conversation messages are designed to be similar to text messaging or a messaging app. You can have back and forth communication that does not have the same structure as a weekly in-class lesson. You can also share pictures, videos, links, and different items through conversations. Our events and makeup lunches are scheduled every 4 to 8 weeks. We normally have them at either the Amy Beale School or the South Valley School, but currently all are being held virtually. When we are in person, we do provide dinner, and you get to have dinner with your mentee. All students and volunteers will RSVP through the platform. You will be sent an invite. And if you can't attend an event or your student can't attend an event, your match support specialist will offer what's called a makeup lunch, and these usually happen once a week during the student's lunch period. This is a time that you can come and catch up with your mentee and get that same face-to-face time outside of the structured monthly events. iMentor also comes with a calendar. When you RSVP to an event, it will automatically populate to your calendar. This will also happen for the student as well when they RSVP. Your match support specialist will be similar to a coach and your guide throughout the process of being matched. We also deliver the Mentor 2.0 curriculum in a classroom setting once weekly to mentees as part of their regularly scheduled school schedule. Our curriculum builds on knowledge, skills, and mindsets, and through activities and reflective writing exercises in which the mentor will also respond. In our 9th grade class, we focus on building students' communication skills in a technological fashion, as well as teaching best practices along using new technologies such as the iMentor platform. We also teach students about the benefit of mentoring relationships and the benefit of goal setting. In 10th grade, we create the mentee-mentor match relationship, and we teach items such as growth mindset, social capital, and the importance of creating and working on a resume. In 11th grade, we explore the job market with students and strengthen their matches with mentors. We focus on college fit factors as well as post-secondary fit factors. We identify all post-secondary options, including college, trade schools, working, traveling, and other items. In 12th grade, we apply to college and help students apply for their FAFSA. We also focus on post-secondary options that are appropriate for the student and their needs. We also help them navigate the finances of applying to college and their FAFSA, as well as finalizing a matriculation plan. This last slide is a curriculum exercise that you will complete on our exit survey. Please read through this slide. Feel free to pause the training now. And when you're ready, navigate to the exit summary and fill out accordingly to what your response would be to a student if you received this message on a lesson. And that concludes our training for the Big Brothers Big Sisters Mentor 2.0 volunteer pre-match training. Thank you so much, and reach out via email if you have any questions.